KwaMashu Hostel in KwaZulu-Natal is notorious for murders which occur almost daily. Over the years, the hostel has turned into a killing field and a haven for criminals.
Ngendlela nje okwenzeka ngayo eminingi uthi uyayihambela nje emgwaqeni sekubhuculula
babulawa ngazi njengeyimbuzi noma njengey'nkukhu nje abanandaba abantu uyafa ungenasitha.
Mina nje ngiyazi ukuthi lapha hleze kuqhuma isibhamu lapha kuhlala kuqhuma isibhamu.
The very community that we try to protect do well for them in terms of policing turn against us.
Over 150 people have been violently killed in KwaMashu Hostel since April last year. Owing to the constant bloodshed, the place has been dubbed Kwajombigazi, a place where blood is constantly jumped over. Over 100,000 people live here. The police say containing the ongoing violence at the hostel is challenging. On January 1st this year, 20 heavily armed men, believed to be hitmen, allegedly entered a room at the hostel and randomly fired at the occupants. 3 people died on the spot, while the 4th victim succumbed to his injuries at a local clinic. 5 other victims with gunshot wounds were taken to the clinic. The suspects are still at large. Police say that the shooting could be linked to ongoing gang violence in the area. Three days later, on January 4th, 2 security guards who were escorting a technician who had gone to do work in the area were killed after being ambushed by gun-wielding men. The technician escaped with an injury on his hand. Almost 7 months later, on July 27th, 2 security guards were also killed in a similar fashion. They were also escorting technicians who were going to do work on a cell phone tower in the area. After murdering the security guards, the suspects fled on foot with their firearms. On August 5th, a couple residing next to the hostel was killed in their home. Grieving residents gathered around the house as the bodies were carried out. Police are investigating the motive for the double murder. Although shocking, the killings are a common occurrence at the hostel. Over the years, the hostel has become a breeding ground for criminals who kill without a conscience. The brutality of the criminals has stunned even the most experienced of detectives. Detective Captain Krishna Naidu, who works in the KwaMashu Serious and Violent Crimes Unit, explains.
Our murders are extreme. It's not on an acceptable level. It shouldn't exist. We had 11 murders over 5 days this recently. It's hectic. But as I said, to me, it affects me. One murder affects me. And the team knows that. To deal with 11 murders in basically 4 days, it's not normal. And these members have to go through the trauma of attending those bloody crime scenes, because each crime scene there is not a normal crime scene. It's bloody. Females been shot multiple times. It's not normal.
He says the community is afraid to come forward with information, fearing for their lives.
We have witnesses very difficult to give statements. Reason being of their safety. They fear their safety, their identity has been exposed. We had cases where the witnesses give us information during the course of the day, and in the afternoon they've been killed because they've been seen talking to the police, or they've been shot at. And what happens, these witnesses relocate. So it's difficult for us to trace those witnesses. We also had informers shot and killed. So it's dangerous. Once you are seen talking to the police, it becomes a problem.
During the interview, the detective received a message informing him of yet another murder at the hostel. He had to rush over to the crime scene. We followed him to the hostel, and on our arrival, a 19-year-old man lay dead. He had a gunshot wound to the head. Although the incident happened in full view of the community, no one came forward as a witness. Detective Constable Notando Sangwini works closely with Detective Krishna. She says witnesses refuse to give statements.
Asithandi ngaso sonke isikhathi kancane kancane sekufa umuntu akwaziwa sekuphinda kufa umuntu akaziwa because clearly la leyo nto itshengisa ukuthi abantu ababoda bakwenzayo mhlawumbe uma bengavalelwa ke kungancipha ngoba egcineni ngagcina ku-affect ilunga lakho lomndeni noma wena uqobo uthole sekugcineni sekuphela nje kanjalo.
As the police battle to solve the crimes, residents continue to live in fear. They didn't feel safe talking to us at the hostel, so we had to whisk them away to a secret location. This lady says even the thought of buying bread at the local tuck shop is scary because anything could happen along the way.
Ngendlela nje okwenzeka ngayo emini uthi uyayihambela nje emgwaqeni sekubhujula uthi uhleli uzwe kuthiwa sebengenelwa abantu endaweni ekuthi badutsula uthole ukuthi bebeyiphuzela kakhulukazi futhi nje uthole ukuthi leyo ndawo abaphuza kuyo bafike nje badutshule uzwe ukuthi hhayi sekudutsula abantu endaweni ekuthi beyiphuzela ngale kokuthi benzeni kuyasabeka ngisho kathiwa nje le ndawo esikuyona uthi uthulele ebusuku uzwe igundane uvuka uhlale ngezinqa ngoba manje siyasaba siwumphakathi siyasaba abantu abaningi-ke bathuthile abaney'ndawo bathuthile bahamba impela nje kuhamba abantu abaningi nomakhelwane bami nje bahambile ngenxa yokusaba omunye nje baze bamngenela kathathu bemfuna isibhamu engenaso ngampela bemshaya nje bemshaya.
She is still grieving the loss of her husband, who was brutally murdered at the hostel a few years ago.
Ngangingekho ngaleso sikhathi ngangisemakhaya ngakuzwayo nje ukuthi bafike banokha bangena kwakungakabi sebusuku kakhulu kwakuntambamana nje bangena bamdubula asazi namanje ukuthi kwakwenze njani akekho owaziyo akekho ongathi impela ngiyazi ukuthi kwenzeka kanjani sasala sanje lo muntu impela kwakuyena wayesiphethe impela kuyena wayazi impilo zethu ukuthi usuka kwigcina wahamba so nje siyacela kakhulu siyacela usizo siyacela kubi kuleya ndawo esihleli kuyona kubi.
She worries about her children who are exposed to such brutality.
Ngiyasaba impela uma bephuma nje besikoleni ngiyasaba nginakho ukwethuka ukuthi kosi bazohamba babuye noma abazobuya ngoba bake basho nabo ukuthi lapho behamba khona ukuthola ukuthi bajomba lapho ukuthola ukuthi bajomba lapho ukuthola ukuthi kukhona umuntu osebulewe siyasaba ingane ngiyabona nje ukuthi hayi siyasaba.
Usuku nosuku baba more than 3 mangama-weekend ke kusuke kuyinqwaba-ke sekufana nomdlalo obulaba kwabantu lapha ngoba abantu nisekuyinto abadlala ngayo ngoba kwazona labantu esithi bayizigebengu basuka ngandawonye iningi labo la bantu abasuka ngapha kwaZulu kuyasabeka sihamba sijeqeze asesahambi nasebusuku o6 sebeshaya uyivalele emjondolo wakho ungaphumi kwaphela uzothi uyaphuma phandle ubanjwe inkunzi uphushelwe endlini kuthathwa izinto zakho bakudubuleke futhi kuyinkinga kakhulu kuthina esihlala njengasemjondolo ngoba ngisho uma ukhishwa isisi ebusuku ufuna uye ethoyilethi ucabanga kaningi ngoba awazi uzohlangana nani uma uphuma phandle.
This man has lived in the hostel for many years. He says opening a case with the police is like signing your own death warrant.
Ayi akusabikwa sekufana nje ukubika usuke imoshela isikhathi uma uthi uyobika ngoba kuyafana akukho inyathelo ezizothathwa kunalokho uyikhandela ubuthi ukuthi ubulawe. Akuyisona sizathu esikhulu uyacuthelwa lapha noma ubonakalile ukuthi umuntu okhuluma iqiniso abalifuni. Bayakubulala laba abenza okubi. Bengayifihli-ke futhi bona bebonakale ngoba ngisho nje ukuthi basebenzisana namaphoyisa athize.
He says exposure to violence daily is traumatic for children.
Sebeze bajwayela kodwa abakhululekile uma kwenzeka kudubulana abantu ziyalimala iy'ngane. Ziyalimala ikakhulukazi thina nje hlala emjondolo. Abantu bacuthelana ngayo emjondolo nasemgwaqweni. Kodwa uyahamba emsebenzini ucuthelwa. Ibona nje ubugebengu ukubulawa kwabantu. Babulawa ngazi njengey'mbuzi noma njengey'nkukhu nje abanandaba abantu.
Buningi ubungozi balapha ngoba uyafa ungenasitha ufeyila ifoni yakho. Khona abantu bavuka ekuseni beyogada abantu abaya emsebenzini befuna ukuyiphilisa ngey'khwanyana zabo namasente amalantshi emsebenzini nesikhwama nefoni. Uma ezothola ifoni engatholi lutho mhlawumbe ungamasente uyaba nebhada kubulalele lokho. Sometimes ukubuka ukuthi ubanjwe umuntu akwaziyo uzofuna futhi ukubulalela ukuthi ngoba uyamazi sekungenzeka uyokubopha.
This man insisted they recover him completely. He didn't want to show even a finger. He says that the shacks that have been erected next to the hostel are a breeding ground for criminals.
Ukufa komuntu kuyinto abayithatha njengento encane kakhulu ngoba bayazi uma ubulala umuntu laphana ukufika kwephoyisa ngeke likwazi ukubathola. Indawo enemjondolo eminingi kakhulu bakwazi ukulibonaliza ilona engeke likwazi ukubabona.
He says the criminals are always sniffing out police informants.
Noma kungasabuyanga yena uyakwazi ukuthumela umuntu oyena ukuthi akayomcheckela ukuthi umane uxhumana namaphoyisa ukuze akwazi ukuphinde ubulala yena. Isikhathi esiningi yibo abafana abancane. Abafana abancane esibandini abenza lezo zinto. Nabagijimisa imali phambili engasho njalo ukuthi uma kuthiwa nayo imali uthatha imali nawenza lowo msebenzi okuthiwa awenza.
11, yes.
Wawuphi indawo?
Kwathiwa kade semakhaya
He says that criminals use every trick in the book to hunt down police informants.
Bayakwazi ukuthi uma bekufuna bengakutholi bekubulalela umndeni wakho ukuze bekwazi ukuthi beyokufisela emngcwabeni uzofika uzongcwabalela ilunga balibulele.
He says families are exposed to a vicious cycle of violence.
Ingane entombazane uma iqala ukukhula khona umuntu ozoyishela njengoba ngiye ngasho ukuthi ubugebengu obuningi benziwa abafana basebancanyana lapha. Uzoyishela mhlawumbe ingane engafuna ukuqoma ibulalele khona lokho. Nanokukhula kwengane ikhula ibuka izinto ezibuhlungu ezenziwa phambi kwayo ngoba phela ukudutshulwa komuntu lapha akusikho ukuthi umdubulela umuntu endane ecashile bayadubulana ngisho emgwaqweni kubuka wonke umuntu.
Mr. Gwala is a counselor at the hostel. He always has bodyguards protecting him. He says the police need to be deployed in large numbers to the area to fight the crime.
So isolution yokuthi lento ekhona la yeyibhamu. Zikhona ezaziwayo ukuthi la kune group of gang. Mina nje ngiyazi ukuthi lapha hleze kuqhuma isibhamu lapha kuhlala kuqhuma isibhamu. Kodwa leyo information fanele nginike abantu abarelevant abazoyisebenza. So intervention ka National Police iyona solution.
He says the hostel is overcrowded because criminals come from across the country to hide there.
mina nginebelief yokuthi umuntu osuka la ngoba eseney'nkinga uhamba uqashe nayo asuka aye kwamanye ama-hostel o-17 oDalton oTeso o-KK oMakhuthi ayoqhubeka ne-criminal activities aphinde akhande a-group of gang benza izinto angeke ngamangala nje mina ngathiwa abantu abadume aka abesuka one of ama-hostel because indawo e-congested overpopulated enabantu abangakwazi uku-administrate indawo engenayo ilokuzana i-direction le nobani uyangena hostel usuka umuntu khona omunye unyaka nje kwathiwa umuntu wayebulala abantu ePitori okuthiwa wasempumalanga watholakala ngalezanto ngaphansi ngasemfuleni baxaka wonke umuntu ukuthi umuntu wasePitori ufuna ngani because abantu baningi kakhulu and le ndawo kuyazi ukuthi ndicasha.
With his bodyguards in tow, we drove with the counsellor around the hostel. He explained that police raids often fail because some law enforcement officers are snitches.
Amaphoyisa awu-700 ma efika amaphoyisa amalungu athi bese sazi ukuthi niyeza amaphoyisa about 700 delegation ayizange ithole ngisho i-school drive yabona ukuthi there's someone who's manipulating indaba lokhuzana amaphoyisa ngisho i-tavern-ke e-operator ngokungekho emthethweni yonke into was in order yabona
The KwaMashu Serious and Violent Crimes Unit, headed by Detective Krishna, has conducted numerous raids in order to remove all illegal firearms. They have also apprehended some criminals involved in murders and hijackings. However, they could do more with the help of the community.
Sad sometimes the very community that we try to protect and do well for them in terms of policing turn against us. As soon as you see the police, you get signals that's been sent to the criminals that the police is in the area. I find that hard to swallow, especially the people that we want to assist. We do operational any given day. There's no specific days that we do operations. Once the informer contacts us and he says he's got information, we follow that information up. It could be whatever time the team is mobilized to attend that information. And we got to be ready for it. So yes, safety is important. Emphasize bulletproof. Watch for each member, especially at night. Your torch, your handcuffs, everything needs to be there. Your equipment needs to be ready. So the team comes with that. So we have to be. The hostel is not a playing ground. It's not a playing ground. We've been shot at. We've been threatened. Personally, we've been threatened. But the team is strong. We here to do the job and we want to do that job.
He says because the criminals are brazen, the police have to be vigilant.
We go as a team. There's no individual member that goes there. Because of the crime, the area, the danger that poses us, we go as a team. So every murder that's reported there, the entire team is deployed to attack. I had members that were attending a crime scene being robbed of their firearms while attending the crime scene. So it's extremely, we've got to be vigilant. Those criminals are fearless there.
He says suspects are always lurking around crime scenes, watching what's happening.
We have to be alert. I had incidents where the suspect that we were looking for at the murder scene, whilst at the murder scene, he's standing there. He's watching us. He wants to know who we are. So we got to be ahead of him. So he can just come around that corner. There's no safety in that place.
There's two houses.
One is at the bottom of the hill, one is at the top of the hill. Top of the hill is the main man, who's a drug dealer, and he's got 2 firearms on him. Bottom, he keeps his hitmen there, but sometimes he keeps a few of his hitmen at the top, so we're not sure where our suspect is sleeping. So we're gonna go to both at the same time.
Despite the difficulties they face, they forge ahead.
It is hard work to take a murder docket right up to conviction date, but we also have a good relationship with the NPA at Intuzoma. There's good senior public prosecutors that guide us with regards to our investigation. So we have a good relationship with them, but it's time consuming. It is very time consuming. But the end result, when we achieve those sentences, we are happy with it.
KwaZulu-Natal SABC Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, says apart from the hostel, the KwaMashu Township is under control.
The criminals are living there, the hitmen are staying in the same area, so it's quite a cocktail of a mixture of people that are staying in the area. But our engagement with the city, our engagement with government in general, in terms of putting out proper lighting in the place, and our employment of other technical aids such as drones that we'll be using pretty soon. So those are the aids that will help us to prevent crime in the area and will help us to investigate crime in the area. Because the more cameras we have, the more lights we have in the area, the easier for us as law enforcement to see what's going on in that hostel.
He says that at times political feuds are at the center of the killings. However, some of the feuds are between family members wanting to settle scores for a range of issues.
So it becomes a family conflict. Now this family conflict then, because each one of them will have friends in different parts and their friends will join in, and it becomes a fully blown war. And that's a situation that you find in the taxi industry as well. And majority of them, taxis become their business. So when they live in these rural areas, they either become taxi drivers, they live in the hostel and they get jobs within the taxi industry, driving taxis, washing taxis, and being perhaps conductors in the taxis. And those that are not necessarily getting any job within the taxi industry, then they get hired as hitmen. That becomes a lifestyle. So when they arrive here, because of the conflict they will have had back at home, it just continues here. And they fight over whatever resources they have around here, and the war just continues. That's why when you see these murders happening, it's not just one murder that happens. It becomes multiple murders because it will be a group of boys that are close to each other and another group that will come and attack them. And they kill each other and they're there within the shacks, which becomes difficult to prevent at times. But for us to solve that, we have to go back to where this thing originated.
While the police are doing all they can to curb the violence, residents hope that one day the terror will end.